Welcome back to the channel, and today I want to introduce you to one of the most mysterious and nonsensical plane designs I've come across. Now, I knew I wanted to do a video trying to replicate actual asymmetrical aircraft that have been designed or existed in history, but I was not expecting to come across what I'm about to show you right now. So like any reasonable person trying to do their research on asymmetrical planes, I typed into Google asymmetrical planes. And of course the top result is going to be a Wikipedia article, but what caught my attention was this site right here titled Top 10 Asymmetric Aircraft. And I'm like, okay, I want to see the cream of the crop here, the best ones. So I clicked on this website and I am presented with the article, and my attention is immediately drawn to this right here. What is this? There's no way this can possibly work. There's a propeller up on the front on the left side of the wing, and I'm assuming this is the cockpit way back on the right side of the tail. Like, this does not look like it's gonna work in any way whatsoever. The only source of thrust I see is completely to the left of all center of mass. This is clearly gonna just pull itself in circles, right? So this got me really excited to find out more about this and what it means in this article. So I scrolled down through the article, found some interesting plane designs, even an asymmetrical helicopter, which is kind of interesting. And I'm like, I can't wait to find out what this thing is all about. Number 2, it's gotta be number 1. And nope, these are all relatively reasonable looking asymmetrical planes. Literally nowhere else in this entire webpage is there any reference to this thing right here. So why is it here? There isn't even any blurb written about what this picture means or where it comes from. But my mind was already made up. This is the craziest design I've seen ever. So I'm committing to this one. The problem is this even real? So I went to the next logical step, which is to do a reverse image search on this thing. So fortunately, technology is amazing nowadays, and I can just say search image with Google Lens, and then it brings up some handy information over here. Down here, I can click translate so I can actually read this. And apparently it says English designs and patent drawings for asymmetric aircraft from 1938 to 1942. How specific? Now, unfortunately, searching for this only finds more reasonable designs. It doesn't actually find this design that I've been looking for. But if I go to find image source, I can see pages that include this image. And now there are exactly 4 pages that include this image, and I've been to all 4 of them. One of them is this page right here, which has a bunch of pictures of this actually seemingly symmetrical aircraft. And then right at the end, they just slap this image in. Like, what does this mean? Why is this here? How is this related to this thing? These don't look the same. So this didn't give me much information. So I went to the next page, and that brought me here. Other World War II and World War I asymmetric projects. So I'm like, okay, is the picture even gonna be here? So I scroll down, and then there it is. And it is classified under other asymmetric projects. Again, very, very helpful, very non-specific. I didn't think I was gonna get anything from this page too, but I realized these images are clickable. So I click on this, and then it brings me to here. And I'm like, oh, is this an actual description of where this image comes from? And it's looking good. You can see each of these bullet points. This one talks about the first design. This bullet point talks about the second design, but we're all interested in this third one. And finally, something here. The third design most surely is derived from the Airspeed AS-31 with the original Vultee replaced by a Kestrel XXX. I think this is the mythical rammer version proposed during the worst moments of the war in 1940. You must realize that if the bomber is impacted with the propeller, the cabin will get separated without any damage with reasonable deceleration. So I'm like, oh, interesting. The first little bit of commentary provided about this image, and they seem to theorize that this might have been a ramming plane in which, with the cockpit down back at the tail here, if you ram with the nose up here and the propeller impacts first, I guess the cockpit is far enough away that you could hopefully survive the impact and get detached and decelerate rather than getting the brunt force of the impact like any normal plane would probably experience. So I got a little bit curious, what is the Airspeed AS-31? So I Googled it, and apparently this is the design right here, which it doesn't really seem to have a lot of similarities other than the fact that the cockpit is way behind the main wing. But according to this description, the cockpit was situated far behind the wing to enhance visibility during takeoffs and landings. I assume that's because you can actually get a better view of your wingspan and what you may or may not hit as you take off and land. But it doesn't give any indication that this vehicle was designed for ramming and to increase the pilot survivability. So I went back here to double check and realized that this follow-up down here is actually in response to this. To which this person adds to this commentary on the third design that they don't think it's related to the Airspeed AS31. And you have to bear with me here because the grammar and spelling of this is a little bit difficult to get through, but I'm trying my best. Apparently in a World War II magazine of October 1943, there's an illustration depicting this design in plain view, I think, with a bit more details. It was labeled Mangle and Warsaw. And in several sources about the AS31, not a single mention was made about an asymmetric development. Comparing the Airspeed project with the Mangle and Warsaw, you see that there is very few relation between these two projects, especially in the wing plane platform. These aren't the most credible sources that we're looking at here. It's these sources. These are the only sources that I'm looking at here. But this gave me something to go on. Mangle and Warsaw. Apparently that's what this thing is labeled in the 1943 magazine. So I decided, let's do a Google search for Mangle and Warsaw. There turns up exactly one Google result, and that's where we just came from. We were already looking at it. So I know virtually nothing about this design outside of this very basic line drawing from the top-down view. I couldn't find the original magazine segment that this guy's referring to, and this is the most detailed information I think I'm gonna find on it. So here's what I want to do with this information. I want to try to do my best to replicate this as is, with the cockpit in the back of the tail and the strange propeller up in the front left, knowing that it's bound for failure. And then once we see how much that ends up failing, let's try to modify it until we get something that is flyable. I think this is gonna be fun. Now, my main goal is to create an essentially the functional replica of what we see. Aesthetics-wise, we're gonna have to deal with the way that Trailmakers parts look. But if I look at the image, I can see that there's standard plane controls. There's the main wing with the roll controls, and then there's the tail wing with the pitch controls. I don't really see any yaw controls on this thing, but then of course we have the propeller and the cockpit positioning, which is gonna be the key part of this. So you know what, let's ignore the cockpit for now and let's just build the normal part, the wings. All right, so this is our tail. I can already see there's gonna be so much weight back here compared to the wing. We're gonna be back, our center of mass is gonna be way back compared to our center of lift, which is gonna be up by the main wing. There's no way this works whatsoever. All right, let's just keep building. Don't knock it till you try it. We have the design right in front of our faces. Let's just do it and see what happens. All right, I've done my best to kind of recreate the dimension of the wing here. I've got my control surfaces over on the ends and in the back down here. Now for the part that makes zero sense and I know it's not gonna work. I'm gonna go ahead and add this propeller right here. Now, first of all, I know, oh wait, hold on. Gotta turn off mirror mode. What is this, symmetrical? They think I need this thing to be symmetrical? Not anymore. But yeah, first of all, I know that this propeller is not gonna be strong enough. This single propeller, there's no way it is gonna be nearly strong enough to do what we need it to do here. But we can deal with those problems when we get there. Right now, we're just replicating what we see. Okay, then the other thing is the cockpit goes right here? Why? Why are we going right here? All right, I need to repurpose this so the cockpit isn't actually attached to the control surface because that's not gonna work. Okay, I'm doing what I can with the materials at my disposal to create what I see. All right, I know it's not 100% accurate, but I have to attach the cockpit somehow, so I'm using that, okay? All right, now we need some aerodynamics on this cockpit, but it's basically like a teardrop shaped cockpit, so that looks pretty cool. I actually think that's a pretty good replica right there. So is this it? Do we have it? We got the propeller up in the top left. We've got the cockpit down on the bottom right. You know, we gotta paint it up just like the drawing too. There we go. Super accurate. Now, I don't have any landing gear or anything, so I know this thing it's not gonna really take off. I also haven't programmed anything. Oh, look what it's doing. Look, just like I suspected. Oh, look at this. Before we even get started hardly, it just wants to go around in a circle. Who would have thought that could have possibly been the result of such a creation? Okay, I got to admit though, the propeller was actually a little bit stronger than I was expecting, so there's that. But main thing is I need to actually get the controls under control here. All right, let's just give this thing the most basic of basic landing gear, just to allow it to roll across the ground pretty much. All right, I think that might work. Ready? Maiden voyage, here we go. 3, 2, 1, lift off. Okay. All right, don't worry. All right, we're getting there. We're getting there. We're not getting there. I don't know what we expected. Actually, I do. This is exactly what I expected. This is what I expected. This is exactly it. I said it was just gonna constantly circle to the right, and that's what we're doing. Okay, so now that we've got the replica all set here, let's save this work of genius. Now, how can we improve it? What is the minimum amount that we can modify this to actually get it to work? One of the things I'm thinking is let's just add a propeller in front of the cockpit. I'm gonna try to keep with the asymmetric vision that they had rather than just putting another propeller over here. I'm gonna put it back here. It needs to be on the right side of the center of mass in order to try to straighten it back out. I'm gonna keep it asymmetric, and I'm just gonna put it in relation to the cockpit here. I'm gonna modify the cockpit a little bit, but I honestly think this is gonna be the best bet. And I do think we are gonna need some more thrust over here because we're not quite as far out, but this might be a little bit too much. Let's see what happens. We're probably gonna go to the Oh, okay. So remember when I said it was going to be way too back heavy? So now that I've actually fixed the center of thrust, you can see we actually want to go straight when we power up the propellers. Now we have the center of mass issue. All of our mass is by the cockpit, way back on the tail, and there's not really much lift up there, or back there. How am I gonna fix that? I'm gonna go ahead and assume that the description of it being a rammer, even though I don't trust anything I read about this at all, let's just go with that as the purpose of this thing. So I'm not gonna move the cockpit up towards the front at all. I wanna keep it back in the back so we deflect it from the initial impact of any ramming that we might try. But now the issue is we have way too much weight on the right side and the back side. Let's add some weights to the front side and the left side over here. So with these propellers in this cockpit, it adds up to like around 50 kilograms. So if I go on the weight, I actually have a 50 kilogram weight right here. So let's go ahead and replace that with a 50 kilogram weight. And it should have a little bit more of an impact over here since it is further away from the center line. And okay, that was, oh, interesting. So we could read this as having too much thrust on the right side. Oh, this is gonna be interesting asymmetry. Now the cockpit itself is actually gonna be asymmetrical, but I am here for this experiment. Let's lean into the asymmetry. All right, so now I have less thrust on the right side. Is that gonna even out? Okay, maybe we have too much weight. I'm gonna change this to 30 kilograms instead of 50 kilograms. There we go, 30 kilograms on the left wing there. How's this feel? Okay, so now center of lift. Center of lift is still a big issue. So now we either need to add more lift in the back or take away lift from the front. And you know what? For the sake of this right now, I'm gonna take away lift from the front just by deleting these wings. Less wings on the front. We really don't have much lift in the back, so I'm also going to expand out these. Instead of using the small wings, I'm going to use the large wings. This will also give us more pitch control. So now we have a little bit more lift in the back, a little bit less in the front. And we're still circling. Why are we circling to the left so much? Is that just because of this weight? Let me see what it's like without the weight right now. All right, now we go to the right. So it is a weight thing. All right, so I just added too much weight over on that side. All right, let's try it here behind the propeller instead. All right, now how are we feeling? Oh, this is looking a little bit better, a little bit straighter. Oh, ooh, it feels awkward. Oh, I see another issue. Yeah, this thing's it's full of issues. Well, hold on, let me see what's going on again. We might have enough thrust now. All right, we need a tail fin. This is a big thing now. We need a tail fin. Here, I'm gonna give myself the best benefit of the doubt here and give myself a powered tail fin so we have maximum resistance. So here we go. This should help resist some of that circular tendency. Come on. Oh, it still is pulling, but oh, we're in the air. Come on. The roll needs more. We need more roll. That's fine. That's an easy fix. That's an easy. All right, now we're like, okay, it's hard to tell what's going on. There's so many competing forces here that it's really hard to tell what a fix could be. All right, so instead of having these tiny little ailerons, I'm gonna replace it with just a full-on wing, just like I have in the back. Come on. Oh, come on. Oh, I don't even know what's going on right. Whoa, we're flying kinda. So I've actually added a little bit more weight to the front right now to even out the weight distribution a little bit. And whoa, it's kind of working. It's kind of working. Oh, it's so hard to control though. Okay, what, how can I improve now? All right, so what I've done now is I've doubled the propeller power, and it looks really weird. I've doubled it horizontally over here, and then I've doubled it vertically over here. Because, you know, asymmetry and all, it's good to keep with the theme. But that seems to have really helped things, because with the extra power, we're just more able to counteract the opposing forces. So, as you can see, it's still not the most stable flight. I'm trying to just fly as straight in this direction as I can. There's all of these just sudden changes in trajectory that I'm trying to like counter for. It's very wavy. Oh, and yeah, I don't think I'm recovering from that one. No, come on, get out of the, no, it's not gonna happen. So there's still something wrong with this. And I do feel like it comes down to a center of lift and center of mass thing. So here, I'm actually going to experiment with moving these out and making room for more weight to add into the front. Because I feel like we have too much lift in the front, not enough mass. So that's 50 kilograms added center front. Whoa. Okay. There's still a lot going on, but it does feel easier. It does want to nose down just a little bit more now, though. But look at that. This might be workable now. So my standard of a successful plane creation is if you can take off from one location and then land in a designated alternate location, and survive that trip. Because you get your takeoff and landing, and then you get your directional control. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try to take off from the aircraft carrier. I'm gonna try to fly through this area, curve around this mountain, and then land on this type of runway looking thing over here. If I can do that, then I think we have a successful enough aircraft to call this a victory. Our ultimate test flight, the journey that determines whether this thing can qualify by ScrapMan standards to be a functional plane. Can I make it over there? I mean, there's a lot of open air to avoid obstacles. There's also a decent amount of obstacles I could run into, but unless I'm being intentionally reckless, if I actually have control, it really shouldn't be hard to avoid the obstacles. And the ground being one of those obstacles. I should probably try to avoid the ground. All right, let's try to get some altitude now that we're out of the more sketchy part of it. All right, so turning. Turning isn't really a thing I've experimented with much intent yet. I was just kind of going in whatever direction my nose happened to be facing, but now I gotta change the direction the nose is facing. And as you can see, it's working. Oh, now I'm gonna try to go under that archway. Oh boy. Okay. This might be a decision I regret. Oh man. It might not look like I'm having trouble, but like, you don't know what I'm intending to do versus what is accidental and I'm correcting for. All right, so we're through the archway. We're here. Now for the landing. I think we have a successful version of that. And you know, when looking at the design, this is not that much different than the original vision. Like, I didn't have to change nearly as much about this thing to get it to work than I thought I did. But we still have one question remaining. Is this thing capable of surviving a ram into something? Can the cockpit survive that? I don't know how Trailmakers is gonna calculate that kind of physics, but let's see if I can bump my front propeller into the enemy, so to speak. Can my cockpit survive? So let's see what happens here if I just nosedive right into the ground. Can I survive this? All right. Oh! I can't believe that just worked. The cockpit survived. That's amazing. Hold up, like, all right, I gotta do a comparison. I'm gonna put the cockpit up front and I wanna do a comparison here. Let's save this version. All right, I am barely flying with the cockpit up in front. I have my pitch up constantly. It wants to pitch down so bad, but I just gotta see what happens when we ram with the cockpit up in front as opposed to where we had it. Ready? And look at that. Everything's destroyed. I get ejected. The cockpit is no longer intact at all. So that was an actual success, a functional success that served the exact purpose this very unreliable and mysterious description on the internet said it was for. So was this really that dumb of a design after all, or was it secretly somewhat of a genius design? I'll let you guys debate that down in the comments below. If you guys enjoyed this video, you'll probably enjoy some more that you can find on the end screen right here. Hope this video has earned your subscription. Anyway, this has been ScrapMan, and I'll see you next time. Bye.